Brothers and sisters, on the 6th of August, 2025, an extraordinary celestial event will take place. Some believe it could even signal the end times. In today's video, we'll break down the real meaning behind this solar eclipse and tell you what it actually signifies, and trust me, you're not going to want to miss the shocking revelation at the end of this video. In various parts of the Bible, there are connections drawn between end-time events and heavenly phenomena. There are many verses mentioning the sun, moon, and stars, and perhaps even eclipses in relation to prophecies about the end times. For instance, in Luke 21:25, Jesus speaks of signs in the sun, moon, and stars when discussing the timing of the end. As a result, when individuals observe uncommon or rare astronomical events, it often leads them to ponder whether the end times might be drawing near. To truly understand the meaning behind a sign like a solar or lunar eclipse, it's important to reflect on history, explore biblical references to similar events, observe ongoing global happenings, and carefully analyze the circumstances. By piecing these elements together, we can discern whether there is a genuine warning or if it's part of a larger biblical prophecy unfolding. As Ecclesiastes 1:9 wisely states, "What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun." Put simply, it means that history tends to repeat itself. And here's where things get shocking. God's character remains constantly unchanging from yesterday to today and tomorrow. This means that God continues to communicate as He always has and addresses sin and nations as He always did. Throughout history and the Bible, recurring patterns emerge, particularly regarding the nation's idolatry and sin, which God consistently confronts. Every significant prophet in the Bible who addressed Israel's idolatry and sin was accompanied by specific signs and warnings, indicating what would follow. Reflecting on Revelation 6, we encounter the symbolism of the four horsemen, depicting God's judgment upon nations. First comes a figure representing conquest or leadership, leading to division and global unrest. Then follows war, stirring up conflict and disrupting peace. Subsequently, famine ensues, bringing economic hardship and agricultural struggles. Finally, death arrives, spreading plague and disease. While these events unfold on a global scale, they also echo recurring patterns seen throughout history in the Bible. These signs often emerge in response to a nation's sins and idolatries, illustrating the cyclical nature of divine intervention throughout time. For instance, God appointed Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian conqueror, to bring judgment not only upon Israel, but also on neighboring nations like Egypt, Assyria, Moab, and even the Philistines and Phoenicians in the Gaza Strip area. Before the sieges, Jeremiah the prophet mentioned the severe plague and famine that had been devastating the land for years, weakening the nations in readiness for Babylon's advance. In the Bible, Jeremiah 38:2 conveys the message of the Lord, stating, "Those who stay in this city will die by the sword, famine, and disease. But those who surrender to the Chaldeans will live. They will escape with their lives as a reward." Looking back at recent events starting in 2020, we've witnessed all four signs: plague, famine, economic hardships, widespread civil unrest, including riots and protests, and finally, the specter of war with Russia. These occurrences haven't just impacted America, but the entire world. They serve as potent reminders of the sin and idolatry prevalent in nations, signaling God's judgment on the earth. While it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end times, the signs are undeniable and suggest we are drawing closer to significant changes. If these are indeed signs of judgment, there must be reasons behind them. There must have been warnings or indications preceding these judgments, as God never acts without first revealing His intentions to His prophets. The sun and moon in prophetic signs. Did you know that in biblical prophecy the moon consistently represents Israel, while the sun symbolizes Gentile nations? Well, you might want to pay close attention, as it's about to get a lot more interesting. The book of Genesis reveals that the sun, moon, and stars weren't created until the fourth day. Before that, light already existed on the earth, along with vegetation, trees, and flowers, which were created on the third day. It's worth noting that trees and plants rely on sunlight and rain, but the sun itself wasn't brought into existence until the fourth day. How could this be? This shows us that the critical role of the sun and moon is in sustaining Earth's climate and ecosystems. Without them, there would be no ocean currents, hence no climate, and consequently, no rain. Back in those ancient times, rain wasn't a common occurrence until the days of Noah's flood. Genesis 2:5-6 sheds light on this, explaining that there were no shrubs or plants yet because God hadn't sent rain, relying instead on streams that emerged from the earth to water the crops. So why did God create plants on the third day, before the sun, moon, or rain even existed? It turns out that the sun and moon had a different role altogether. Genesis 1:14-19 describes how God created these celestial bodies to separate day from night, serve as markers for sacred times, festivals, and seasons, and govern the passing of days and years. These celestial signs hold particular significance in biblical prophecy, especially regarding the end times. Joel 2:30-31 foretells wonders in the heavens and on the earth. The sun turned to darkness and the moon to blood, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. This imagery symbolizes impending turmoil. Blood represents war and judgment. Smoke and fire signify volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. In essence, these celestial events are prophetic indicators, as Jesus himself foretold of earthquakes, volcanoes, wars, and other upheavals as precursors to significant events. Blood moons and Israel. Did you know that the 2014-2015 blood moon tetrad had a connection to Israel? During this period, there were 4 total lunar eclipses, also known as blood moons, occurring in close succession coinciding precisely with 4 important Jewish festivals, forming what they called the blood moon tetrads. The number 4 often symbolizes the universal authority of God's word. In symbolic terms, the moon represents God's protection and oversight over Israel. The blood-red hue of the eclipse was seen as a portent of impending bloodshed, a sign of looming judgment. Because the eclipses spanned a 3-year period, the number biblically associated with division was interpreted as a warning regarding the potential division of the land of Israel. Referring to Joel 3:1-2, the Bible speaks of a pivotal event that triggers the 7-year tribulation period and the judgment of nations. It describes a time when God will gather all the nations in the valley of Jehoshaphat for judgment, specifically for their mistreatment of Israel, including scattering the people, dividing the land. We're witnessing nations carving up the land of Israel, a situation hinted at in the book of Joel. The Bible even pinpoints specific nations responsible for this division: Tyre, Sidon, and Philistia. Philistia corresponds to the Gaza Strip, home to the Philistines, now known as Palestinians. The term Palestine originated from the Romans, who renamed Israel to Philistia after the Philistines, following the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem as an act of mockery toward God and Israel. Today, the Palestinians are central to the two-state solution, a concept also prophesied in the Bible, including by the prophet Daniel concerning the Antichrist and the 7-year peace treaty involving Israel. Tyre and Sidon were regions inhabited by the Phoenicians, renowned for their trade. The prophet Ezekiel 28, mentions the king of Tyre, seen as a precursor to the Antichrist. After the Greek and Roman conquest, the Phoenicians migrated to Greece and Rome. Interestingly, Europe was named by the Phoenicians after Europa, the daughter of a famous Phoenician king. Today, the European Union, United Nations, and even America are linked to the ancient regions of Tyre and Sidon, and these modern nations are expected to play a role in shaping and promoting the 7-year peace treaty prophesied in the Bible, which will be confirmed by the Antichrist, eclipses, and modern warnings. In 2017, 2 significant and uncommon events took place in America. August 21, 2017, the Great American Solar Eclipse visible across the entire US from coast to coast. An eclipse alone doesn't hold much meaning unless accompanied by biblical and Israeli contexts. September 23, 2017, the Revelation 12 sign a rare alignment of the constellations Virgo and Leo, along with Mercury, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, the Sun, and the Moon, resembling the Revelation 12 prophecy. This alignment has only occurred twice in history. Both of these signs served as dire warnings to the US concerning Israel, specifically regarding the division of land. Fast forward to August 6, 2025, 8 years after the 2017 eclipse. Another total solar eclipse will occur. In biblical terms, the number 7 symbolizes completion. This eclipse represents the conclusion of a cycle and a reflection of past occurrences connected to the future. The X shape is reminiscent of the Hebrew letter Tav, which symbolizes a mark or seal. In Ezekiel 9, this seal marked those who mourned the sins of the temple before Babylon's destruction. It also echoes the Passover marking of doorposts in Exodus, and foreshadows the mark of the beast, the seal of protection over the 144,000 witnesses during the tribulation period. Therefore, the Tav mark on the United States signifies both protection and judgment, particularly concerning the division of the land of Israel. The eclipse will pass, the light will return, and the world will continue to turn. But for those who know how to observe, its mark is not a dark shadow in the sky, but a reminder that human time is limited, while God's promises and warnings never change.